So let's get started. So this is welcome to the Health and Government Operations Committee, the best committee in the world. We are, this is voting list number 17th, Thursday, April 6th, and we have quite a few bills, most of them for the public. We have already heard them, we have read them, we know them, so if we go quickly, do not worry, we have done the work on them. We have one withdrawal, which is House Bill 1295. Is there, all right, any concerns and questions about withdrawing that one? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill is withdrawn. Let's go on to Senate Bill A59, which we are the secondary committee, which means that judiciary is primary and they just need our vote. And that is Reproductive Health Protection Act. And we did that bill already, the House bill, and it is Aaron.
And it's identical to its cross file, which Delegate Williams presented.
Identical bill, which the delegate presented here in this committee. It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? I have Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, and Delegate Kipke.
Oh, because she said it.
And Shalega is not here, just for the record. She's here, but she's in the back. But she'll come right back. I just want to make sure she's not noted favorable. Thank you. And we got some great, what was it, chocolate from her. It was good, right? We got to thank her. So we have House Bill 288, which is the Food Service Facilities Automated External Defibrillator Program, the Joe Shea Act, favorable with amendment. It is Aaron and Bagno, but I'm going to do something different after Aaron speaks. If I may call respectfully Delegate Bagno, I'm going to call on Delegate Collison, who's been working it, and then I'll call on you as well, okay? Aaron.
There is a reprint of the bill in your packet. The bill requires each owner and operator of a grocery store or a specified restaurant beginning January 1st, 2025 to place an AED in a prominent area and maintain its functionality. A restaurant with an annual gross income of $1 million or less, exclusive of off-premises consumption, or a seating capacity of less than 100 individuals is exempt. There is also a exclusion from the Maryland AED program, and MDH and MIMS must adopt certain regulations. And there's also a requirement for a report on adverse events and the potential to expand the bill to grocery stores and restaurants with higher capacity in the future.
Thank you, Aaron, for your work. You've been working really hard, all of you. Delegate Vice Chair Collison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank the Public Health Subcommittee for its hard work on this bill as well.
Yes.
So I worked with the stakeholders in terms of trying to get them to a place where they could live with the results of the bill and the impact of the bill. And I am assured by both the retailers and the restaurants that they are at a neutral position, so no longer opposed, because we did take their amendments. The amendments primarily were designed to make sure that we didn't catch the smaller stores, either grocery or restaurants. And the question's asked frequently why we selected restaurants and grocery stores, and the answer is because everyone ultimately goes to one of those places, and at some point, and people go to the grocery store all the time. They may not go to restaurants all the time, but they probably go periodically. So having this life-saving device in the places where we know people are going to go. Now, not everyone's going to go to a movie theater. Not everyone's going to go to, a auto store, but everyone is going to go to a restaurant or a grocery store. So what we did was I worked with them to find the line where they felt the bill would exclude the smallest part of the entities and include the larger, those who are making more money. And we did that by saying, for restaurants, it is those with gross receipts of $1 million of on-premise sales. or a seating capacity of 100. And that seating capacity of 100 includes indoor and outdoor seating. And so the restaurants felt that they could, that was actually their recommendation, with the exception of not counting the outdoor seating. We felt it was important to count the outdoor seating because there are patrons there in those seats who are, it's possible that they will have these incidences. With the grocery stores, the Retailers Association met with their members and came up with target numbers, the target being 12,000 square feet and $10 million as the threshold under which the mandate will not apply to them, and that brought them into it. MIMS is very supportive of having these devices in as many places as possible. They are going to be required to register with MIMS, so MIMS will know where all of the AEDs are, and they will be telling all of the 911 service providers that, where the AEDs are. They will also support and make sure that anyone with an AED is notified of maintenance and any kind of things that they should be doing to keep up with it. We heard this morning that the maintenance on these devices is primarily the batteries have to be replaced every 5 to 7 years, and the pads sometimes dry out, and so they need to be replaced periodically as well. And that's at a cost of about $300. So those are how we got to the amendments that you see in the reprint before you.
And if I may, I want to thank the Restaurant Association for their work on this, and they came and met with us, and we work with them. And I really appreciate them, especially Melvin, who does an excellent job. And he sent a letter. This says, Dear Health and Government Operations Committee, in light of the Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee's adoption of amendments this morning to mitigate the impact of Senate Bill 299 on our industry, we're withdrawing our opposition and now have a neutral position on this bill as amended by the HGO Subcommittee. Thank you for your consideration of our concerns. Sincerely, Melvin Thompson, Government Affairs and Public Policy. So I want to thank them for always working with our committee. We really appreciate them. Delegate Bagno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a robust discussion on this bill. We actually talked for a full hour, and there was agreement within the subcommittee that this was a good idea, that this was something that we should be doing. We had disagreement as to whether it should be a mandate or whether it should be industry-driven, and a disagreement as to whether this bill went far enough. And MIMS confirmed that they would work with some of our with some of our committee members on potentially a public service campaign, and we also committed to looking at this, the wider issue, and that's actually why we amended on that reporting requirement as well, so that we can continue to do this work. And with that, I would move the amendments.
Second.
And if I may, for the record, before we take a vote, we are passed this session a tax credit for restaurants to mitigate the cost of this. I don't have the bill number, but we did do that. Ways and Means did that. And what we have committed next year is to make sure that there's one similarly to the supermarket industry as well. All right. I tried to see if I could get them in this one and was not successful. But next year we'll make sure. But they are getting a credit to mitigate the cost. So now that we have moved and second the amendments, I'm going to open it up for discussion. I did see Johnson first, and then Alston, and then Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if we know, since this is an amendment here, with the $1 million or less or 100 seats or less, do we know how many restaurants ballpark that eliminated?
Go ahead.
It's about 61% of the 11,000 restaurants. So
Thank
we're
you.
covering 39%
Okay.
of the 11,000 restaurants.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for the question. Delegate Alston.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Delegate Collison. I know you worked really hard on this bill, and I really appreciate the bill. I think it's a very good bill. I think it was an excellent bill as introduced, and for that reason, I'm opposed to the amendments. I understand that in the spirit of compromise, there's sometimes things we have to do to get the bill passed. I understand that. But in my community, these exclusions, these amendments are going to eliminate what most people use as grocery stores, because we don't have grocery stores in a large part of my district. So we have these food facilities that are going to be smaller and have less profitability. And I think they should be included because also in my district, we have a very high incidence of heart disease and low access to health care. So I wish the bill could go further. I look forward to next year having those amendments to make it more inclusive of those types of facilities and stores, but I am going to be opposed to the amendment for those reasons. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Delegate Collison and Subcommittee.
No, and thank you for bringing that up. And the reason why we have the amendments is because we want to make sure that those small businesses are not impacted. That is the reason why we have the amendment. I know that ideally we would want everyone to be impacted, but we want to also have a balance, right? To make sure that the ones that are struggling are not going to struggle and go out of business so they can be in the neighborhoods. But I do respect your position, okay? Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think,
My pleasure.
and I don't want to speak for Delegate Alston, but I think her point was that it really wasn't about them being carved out and not hurt financially. She wanted to make sure her people were protected as well by this bill.
Oh, no, I get that.
Right.
I get that.
And I told her next year if she put a bill in to create a fund to help some of these,
Yeah.
to give them a credit. And I just want to echo what I said this morning. I think this bill has the greatest of intent. If I could wave a magic wand and make sure everybody had one of these AEDs, because I've
Yeah.
seen them in action, I've seen them save a life. They're incredible what they do. I'm just not comfortable with mandating this
I
at this
understand.
point. I'm hopeful, and we did encourage campaign to let them know what it does. It's
Yeah.
not a very expensive unit. If you use it, then you have to replace some of the parts. The batteries last between 5 and 7 years. I don't think it's a financial burden for most restaurants. I think they might not understand where to go get them and what they do, and just because running a business encompasses so many
Yeah.
different things that it may not just be on the front of their mind. So I would encourage them to do the public service announcements. I'm not going to be voting for it because of the mandate part, but I truly love the idea of everybody having one.
And I understand, and I appreciate your comments, very much so. Delegate Martinez,
Thank you,
followed by
Madam.
Bagno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just
My
want to
pleasure.
reiterate what I said earlier today. Being a new delegate, not many people know how to find me, but the business community in Route 1 was very opposed to this bill. But with these amendments, they definitely appreciate the committee's work, and particularly for our smaller restaurants, they've been through a lot throughout COVID, and so the ones that are still standing, they felt like this would be an impediment for them to be able to continue their work. But I think with these amendments, they can live. So thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Bagno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just wanted to put on the record, once again, that I understand that this, this is a compromise. But it's not just about the people going to the restaurants. It's also about the employees, because they have heart attacks too. And it's also very traumatic if you witness a cardiac incident and you cannot intervene. So for that reason, I'm happy that we're doing something, and I think we're doing something meaningful. Thank you.
Okay. Delegate Bandari.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is a wonderful idea. As Vice Chair explained, selecting and purchasing AED. And could you explain a little bit about the training part of it? How do they get the training?
So this bill excludes the training because they are automated. That was actually the point of contention with MIMS. MIMS would prefer that they have training, and that normally the training is part of CPR training. They sort of go part and parcel. But these, as we had demonstrated in the hearing, the machine actually walks you through the process. And if you are administering care incorrectly, it will not administer care. If care is not warranted, it actually it monitors your vitals before it would actually operate.
Absolutely,
How
this is
about-
the place.
How about the regularly testing the AEDs and to ensure that they are functioning properly?
Madam Chair, if
It's in the bill.
yeah,
It's
I was going to say,
Yes.
it's,
Okay,
It's in the bill.
okay.
And thank you for the questions, okay? This is the place, like, I want you guys to ask the questions, to bring your concerns. There's no judgment, you know, as I said before, we represent different people, we come with different experiences, right? But together, we share them, right? And try to have some compromise, right? Any other questions or concerns? Yes, Delegate Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to just make sure I understand the training. You guys just talked about it a little bit, but I was trying to rush through the bill looking for the training part, so can you tell us about the training? It's
Aaron will
excluded?
address it. Why don't you let Aaron address it?
If you look in the reprint on page 2, that's current law for the AED program. And under current law, facilities that are a part of the AED program have to provide for training. But this bill, if you look at lines 29 through 31, exempts the facilities of this bill from the AED program. However, so they don't have to do the training piece, but they will have to, if you look at bill page 5 after line 22, those grocery stores and restaurants will have to make their locations publicly available. They have to register with MIMS as to where they're located, and then they also have to receive maintenance and recall notices from MIMS.
Thank you, that part was, confused me a little bit,
So they're
thanks for clearing
exempted
that up.
from training?
Gotcha.
It must just disclose the location to MIN so they can keep a registration.
Okay, thank you.
Delegate Hutchinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd actually like to share this with Joe's widow, who has joined us here for our voting session that the bill is named after. This was one, like Delegate Martinez, where I did get some businesses contacting me about it. And I'm still concerned about the outsides being included because I still think that will put some of my small businesses in this. It's not like the outside seating's full and the inside seating's full, it's just that the inside went outside to sit there. I don't like the fact of it being a mandate as well.
Sure.
And I will be voting no on it, but I would certainly like to come back next year and see if there's ways that we could get funding for projects like this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, and thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. So I want to thank everyone for a civil discussion, for the committee's work subcommittee, Delegate Bagnall and Collison, Delegate Alston, all of you, and Aaron, thank you for your work. So we're going to take a vote. Actually, for the record, the bills that provide the tax credit are House Bill 1074 and Senate Bill 624, if you want to let your people know at home. So House Bill 1074, Senate Bill 624, and they can apply for the credit, okay? For the restaurants. And then hopefully next year, we can do something about the supermarkets. But the way it's drafted, again, you know, it shouldn't capture the little ones. So that being said, thank you so much. The amendment's been moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition to the amendments? Delegate Alston. Delegate Kipke. Delegate, to the amendments. To the amendments? Okay, to the amendments, Delegate Alston, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, okay? That's it. All right, on the bill as amended, all those, may I have a motion? It's been moved in second. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Delegate Hill.
Thank you. I'd just like a clarification. You mentioned the tax credit bills. When we asked Mr. Thompson about that in subcommittee, he gave us a number, and I think he said above that number, there was a tax credit, and I was confused that it wasn't for people below that number who would get a tax credit. Can we get some clarification?
Delegate Hill, I don't know the answer because it wasn't our committee, but a bill was passed to give a tax credit.
okay.
Whatever that is, I don't have the bill in front of me, but there is a tax credit, okay? It says the bill authorizes a non-refundable credit against the state income tax for the first 500 of the purchase price. It applies to anyone that buys it, the AED. Okay, $500, and they range from $700 to $1,200. And I know you have the maintenance and the pads later on, but that's what the cost is. My pleasure. And thank you for the question, Delegate Hill. So we moved it and seconded. Any more concerns or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition to the bill as amended? I have Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, Delegate Kipke, Delegate Chisholm, and Delegate Morgan. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the work and the discussion. So we're now going to move on, if we may, to House Bill 138, and that's Public Safety 311 Systems, Non-Emergency Information. It is favorable with amendment. Excuse me?
Did you do both bills?
Oh, you want me to go do the other one?
You need that to record, right?
Okay, so let's do, what is the bill number?
Senate Bill 299, they're right.
Senate Bill 299, I'm sorry. It's the same posture. So is there a motion on the amendment? The amendments have been moved in second. Any questions or concerns, except the ones that we just discussed that are noted for the same bill, just to save us time? All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Any opposition to the amendment? Again, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, and Delegate Olson, and Delegate, on the amendment, just on the amendment. So just Alston, Riley, and Hutchinson. All those in favor say aye. And we noted the opposition. On the bill as amended, yes, Delegate Woods, yes. Yes. Okay, on the amendments, has been moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? On the bill? Thank you. Delegate Morgan, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, and Delegate Kipke on the bill. Thank you. Delegate Woods. The 288, it is favorable with amendment. Yes, that's a great question, Delegate Woods. Who does not want to be on that bill? Can you raise your hand? All right, so I have Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Riley, Delegate Hutchinson, Delegate White, Delegate Kerr, Delegate Lopez, Delegate Johnson, Delegate Kipke, Delegate Bandari, and Delegate Martinez. Not. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Good question. And thank you for helping me out here. I appreciate it. House Bill 138, Public Safety 311 Systems, Non-Emergency Information. It is favorable with amendment. It is Lindsay and Delegate Kerr. Go ahead.
The bill is originally introduced establishes a statewide 311 non-emergency telephone system under MDEM. The amendments that are on page 7 in your packet from the sponsor strike the bill and instead requires DLS to study the implementation by the Department of Human Services of a statewide 311 system in the state, including examining the cost of implementing a statewide 311 system and implementing a combined 211 and 311 system, potential cost savings to counties that currently operate a county 311 system, potential cost savings from utilizing 211 infrastructure for a combined system, anticipated new personnel needed, the expiration date of county 311 technology, the percentage of 211 calls that are handled by 988, existing studies on 911 call volumes where 311 exists, the potential role of Maryland 211, and any issues with the management of 211 shifting from a nonprofit entity to a governmental service. The report is due to the committees by December 1st, 2023, and the amendment also changes the effective date of the bill. And this bill was not considered in subcommittee.
Okay, so Delegate Kerr, can you tell us about the bill?
Yes. You'll recall we heard this bill last year and then again this year. This was a 311 non-emergency government services. 37% of the calls that go into 911 are not of an emergency nature, and it ties up operator time, it ties up the phone lines, and if any of you have ever had the misfortune to call 911, you know it's a very tense situation to begin with. What we're trying to do with the 311 call center would be a couple of things. One is to reduce that burden of non-emergency calls on 911, plus provide better customer service, better constituent service, and show people that their government can work for them. The problem was, also it provides a pathway training for 911 specialists and also a respite for 911 specialists that are a little burned out or maybe suffering from some post-traumatic stress following a series of really difficult, emotional, stressful experiences on the switchboard under the headset. This was a bill that had a lot of widespread support. We had 211 was in support. We had Maryland Municipal League, MACO, but the price tag was too high. So we worked to try and reduce the price tag. We had some conversations with 211 about the possibility of a merger. Got very close, but as you know, we're here at the end of session, and we felt the most prudent thing to do would be to take a step back, consider the real implications of this 211-311 merger, and a lot of the aspects that Lindsay just explained will go into this study. So I think this is the best way to go. We'd all like to see Maryland be the first in the nation for a statewide 311 program, but we want to do it right. So I would move the amendment.
It's been moved in second. Any questions on the amendments? Concerns? Delegate Hutchinson?
It's not on the
Okay.
amendment, I'm sorry.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition to the amendments? On the bill as amended? It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Delegate Hutchinson?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
My pleasure.
Delegate Care, I actually was just going, I know we saw this bill a long time ago. It seems like ages ago, actually. I was actually looking back at my notes, and I noted that two of my counties had told me they were opposed to this from a funding standpoint. Refresh my memory how this is being funded, and will they ever be on the hook to have it funded at the county level?
The idea is for this to be a statewide system. There are 6 jurisdictions that currently have a 311 system to varying degrees of sophistication. If they like their existing system, they can remain with their existing system at their own expense, or they can get in with the statewide system, and the state would assume most of the costs. So the idea is not to put a burden on the counties, and that certainly is something that we'll look at with this summer study. But as I told you earlier, I think their concerns are unfounded.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Good question. Any other question or concern? Seeing none, all those in favor of the bill as amended say aye. Any opposition to the bill as amended? Seeing none, the bill passes. And that is a House bill is favorable with amendment. Who does not want to be on this bill? Can you raise your hand? Delegate Shalega, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Riley, Delegate Kipke. I'm sorry, Delegate Hutchinson, not Kipke. I apologize. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's go. Let's go. See, I miss you so much that I just had to have you in my mind. All right, Senate Bill 399, and that is Health Occupations Environmental Health Specialist Revision. That is favorable. It is Lindsay and Rosenberg. Lindsay.
Move the bill.
Yep.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. Senate Bill 497, it is also a cross-file of the State Spirit Maryland Ride. It is favorable. It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right. Aren't you happy about that bill? You guys like it? Okay. I know, Senate Bill 772. I do, you have to, you know where to go, right? Courtesy of Chisholm. Thank you. Senate Bill 772 is the State Board of Nursing Peer Advisory Committee Scope of Practice and Licensure Requirement. That is favorable with amendment. It is
There-
Lindsay.
It is a cross-file. There's a technical amendment on page 10 to conform
Move the
it.
technical amendment.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposition on the amendment, on the bill as amended? It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. Senate Bill 940, it is favorable.
Move the bill.
It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, let's go on to Senate Bill 960.
This one was not identical to the cross-file, but you all voted on the concurrence. The difference was the requirement on the executive director being a registered nurse.
Move the bill.
It's been moved in second. All those in favor say, is there a problem with the bill? All right. And we missed the sponsor. All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Seeing none. Our last bill, Senate Bill 965. It is favorable, and it is a cross-file of House Bill 815. Is there a motion? It's been moved in second. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, the bill passes. Can you stay on your seat for a second? Oh, 1 second, we have a concurrence. Yes.
House Bill 693, this is State Board of Pharmacy, Board Membership, Delegated Pharmacy Acts and Sunset Extension. The bill amendments from the Senate authorize a registered pharmacy technician to administer a COVID-19 or pneumonia vaccine to an individual who's at least 18 years old, and an RSV or shingles vaccine to an individual who's at least 50 years old. And it also alters the termination date for the board from July 1st, 2033 to July 1st, 2025. That's aligning it with the other health occupations boards terminating in 2025 because they're going to be reviewed by MDH.
And I'm going to call on Delegate Kipke.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I support the amendments. These are vaccinations that are commonly administered in pharmacies, and it's just for adults. And so it will certainly help with the workload issues in the pharmacy. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership in this field, Delegate Kipke. And Lindsay, thanks for your work. Delegate Hutchinson and then Delegate Shalega.
I'm sorry, this is not related to this bill. I wanted to do a vote change, but
Okay, let's finish this one. Okay, great. Delegate Shalega.
So this just, they're currently doing these, it extends it? Okay, because I got my shingles vaccine from a pharmacist, so I know they're doing it. Thank you.
I got mine as well. All right, wonderful. So is there a motion? Is there a second? It's been moved and second to concur. Oh, is there a problem with it? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, we agree to concur. Any other concurrences? Nope, okay. Delegate Hutchinson.
thank you, Madam Chair. A vote change on House Bill 138. I'm going to go down for now, talk to my counties, and that may change on the floor.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for the courtesy. We appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, all those subcommittees, the LA staff, for all your hard work. If you could stay seated for a minute, can you take us down? Thank you. 30 seconds, thank you. Thank you. Let me know when we're done.